How we doing, guys? Welcome to DT's Daily. Now, on today's show, we're going to be talking about Nottingham Forest and Everton because they've breached financial fair play rules. We're also going to be talking about West Ham and their defeat in the FA Cup. And the last piece of news involves Jose Mourinho because he's been sacked once again.
How we doing, guys? Welcome to DT's Daily. That's right.
So it's Wednesday morning and like I said, there's a few things to get through. One thing I'm going to speak about is Nottingham Forest and Everton. Now, a couple of days ago, they were both charged with breach of financial fair play regulations. Everton, second time this season. Are they going to face another points, deduction? That is insane. They've already lost 10 points. Can you imagine if they get docked another 10? It'll probably feel, as an Everton fan, that the whole world is against you. And I know there's going to be this talk of Man City, Chelsea, etc. What I will say is that, these charges against the likes of Forest, Everton, etc. are single charges. So they seem like they are very easy to deal with. They're very straightforward. There's not a lot involved and they're very easy to deal with. Whereas Man City have 115 charges. Now, we all want Man City to face, the punishment that they deserve. But I feel that with that, it's going to take some time. Eventually, we will all see them face the punishment that they rightly, should be getting. But at the moment, it's going to take a little while longer. And it's only going to raise the question and, just get everyone talking more when this is happening. The Nottingham Forest one in particular is very, very interesting. Now, I know that they're going to, be fighting against this. They've got mitigating circumstances. And from what I'm gathering, it's around the Brendan Johnson deal. Now, they were close to selling him to Brentford. A deal was agreed, but Brendan Johnson said, I don't want to go there. Now, if they would have sold him at this period and before the end of that month, they would not have breached their financial fair play rules. But because he refused to leave, he later did leave and went to Spurs, as we know. But it was too late, and it meant that they breached the rules during this period. I know it's very easy to sit and say, right, we blame the player, it's his fault. But every team has to, look after their books. They have to make sure that everything, is above board. And it is risky kind of relying on something to happen to make sure that you don't fall into that trap. So, yeah, it could be one of those where, they look at it and say they didn't mean to break it. They didn't intend to do anything wrong. It was just one of those situations, give them a slap on the wrist. But when you look at what happened to Everton, the fact that they seem to be coming down very, very hard at the moment on teams, it could well, be one that they can't get away with. And there could be a points deduction there. And that'll not be great for Nottingham Forest. And Everton, well, that situation's just insane. Can you imagine if they go and get more points deducted? 10 already. Imagine they get slapped with another 10. Or would it be even worse, given that it's their second, charge? I'm presuming that second time round would be worse, so they could get slapped with 15 or 20 or I don't know. It's mad, isn't it? But yeah. We'll wait and see what happens with that one. That's a very, very interesting one. Next piece of news involves West Ham. Very quickly, played in the FA Cup replay last night against Bristol City. Eliminated 1-0 out of the FA Cup. It was a very, very poor performance from West Ham. Said Benrahma sent off. What I will say, it was a very edgy game. It was very competitive, shall we say. Bristol City were very up for this tie. Maybe sometimes a little bit over what you'd normally get away with. There was one tackle in particular where not great. But Benrahma, stupid. You can't be doing that. You can't kick out at somebody and then you roll around the floor like you're injured, like the referee's just gonna walk away and just forget about you and not give you a card. It's like it was just stupidity, petulance, and it cost them ultimately. And they're out of the FA Cup. And fair play to Bristol City. Very good performance from them. Last piece of news involves Jose Mourinho because he has been sacked at Roma. And listen, this one's very interesting because Mourinho's been in there 2 years or so. He came in, Roma were a mess. He's won them their first trophy in God knows how long in the Conference League. And they're only 5 points off Champions League place in Serie A. I know they've only won one game in their last five. And yeah, things have always been a little precarious, shall we say. But I'm not sure it's as bad as it kind of looks on the surface. But listen, we don't know what happens behind closed doors. And this is something that I've said all along. At any club in football, whether it's right at the top elite end to right down the bottom ends of non-league, and I'm an owner of a club, I know the situation. On the surface, people can look at things and go, okay, everything's going well there, but you never know what's going on behind closed doors with the management. And then when somebody gets sacked, you're like, strange one. But to people within the club, it's not strange. Do you know what I mean? And this kind of is one of those situations that you look at and think, okay, 5 points off a Champions League place. He's completely turned them around. Yeah, it's an interesting one. But De Rossi, he's gone in as the replacement, legend of the club, loves the club. Be interesting to see, how that one goes. But Mourinho, where will he end up next? There is talk he could end up back in the Premier League. And I've looked at that and I thought, where could he possibly go in the Premier League? And one name sticks out for me, not right now, possibly at the end of the season, would be Newcastle. He fits the profile. When you look at the owners, they would need a big name. And I've said it all along, I think Eddie Howe will not last at Newcastle. And the owners would look for a big name. Jose Mourinho fits the bill. He's also somebody that comes into clubs and gets them their trophies. Apart from Spurs, of course. Nobody goes in there and gets some trophies. That's just what happens. It's the one place he's failed at. But everywhere else he goes, he seems to get that trophy. He seems to do something. And Newcastle, given the fact that they've gone so long without a trophy and they want that first one, he could be the ideal candidate to go in, deal with big name players, get a trophy, whether it's the Carabao Cup, whatever it is, get that first trophy, and then Newcastle can start to use that as a stepping stone. It's an interesting one. I'll be interested to hear what people think, but I think Jose Mourinho to Newcastle could well happen.